Crash in aluminium prices. Increase of gas prices for industrial enterprises in Ukraine. Rolled with polymer coating in Russia continues to increase in price. The fall in prices for billet from the CIS. Watch more about this in the weekly review of Metal News. The program is supported by the Tech-Energoprom Group. The situation around the sanctional list on April 6 crashed prices for aluminium. On April 24 at the London Metal Exchange, the cost of aluminium fell by 10% to $2,295 per ton. According to Interfax, the cost of aluminium fell by $174 in 2 hours in the reporting week. The Minister of Finance of USA said that they are ready to lift the sanctions from Rusal if its owner Oleg Deripaska sells the company. Russian Rusal is one of the largest producers of aluminium in the world, about 6% of the world production. The company itself has already said that they are exporting aluminium to the Chinese market instead of the USA. This will trigger a new round of the sanctions crisis. Metal News monitors the situation and will inform its viewers about it. The national oil and gas company Naftogaz Ukraine will increase the price of natural gas for industrial consumers from the 1st May 2018. Tariff, which is valid for large enterprises without debt and with a consumption volume of not less than 50,000 cubic meters of gas per month, will increase by 5.5% to 9.1 thousand hryvnias per 1,000 meters of cube. The upper limit of the tariff fork will increase by 5.2% to 10,000 hryvnias per 1,000 meters of cube, including 20% VAT. Despite the fact that the demand for rolling products with polymer coating from the end consumers remain low, the products continue to appreciate. This is facilitated by the positive conjuncture of foreign markets, fluctuations in the exchange rate of national currency, as well as high utilization of equipment. In April, colored coils in the primary market went up by 2 to 4%. The maximum price increased to $1,142, $1,166 per ton, including VAT, CPT Moscow per roll 0.45 mm. In fact, the growth of FOB quotations was the main argument for increase in domestic prices for flat-colored rolled products. Since the beginning of the year, export prices for rental have increased by 15 to 16%. In May, the mills announced another growth of 3 to 6%. Thus, in May, the price of a 0.45 roll for consumers from Moscow reached $1,223 per ton. The main reason providers call the devaluation of the ruble. Consumers negatively perceive the next increase. They expect that as the ruble strengthens, the mills will reconsider the size of the price increase. Against the backdrop of negative sentiment on the market, prices for billets continue to decline. Consumer caution led to an adjustment to the May production from the CIS at $5 per ton. The prices were fixed at the level of $500 to $505 per ton FOB. One of the last deals for 10,000 tons of Russian materials to Turkey were concluded at the lower border of the specified range. Market participants expect a further fall in prices for the square in early May to the level of $485 per ton FOB. On April 24, 2018, the process of refinancing the debt of the MetalNews Group was completed in the amount of about $2.3 billion. 2 new issues of Eurobonds and changes in the conditions of pre-export credit lines allowed the company to increase its liquidity. The volume of the pre-export financing line was $765 million. The maturity was extended to October 2022. As Yuri Rizhenko, the general director of the MetalNews Group, commented with the completion of the landmark transaction, the enterprise can focus on expanding its business by implementing its own technology strategy until 2030. The international rating agency Fitch awarded 2 new Eurobond issues of MetalNews for a total of $592 million. The final rating of B, Fitch notes that the operating profile of MetalNews corresponds to the rating of the category BB. The French manufacturer Laminoirs Delande commenced the commercial production of a thick plate with a thickness of 150 mm and its assets opposite the port of Bayonne. It is planned that 200,000 tons of thick plates will be produced in new equipment in 2018, and to bring the mill to full capacity of 500,000 tons will be achieved in 2029. LDL intends to sell products both in the domestic and international markets, in particular in Europe, South America, Canada, Turkey, as well as in the Middle East. Owners of LDL are Heroes Anon SA and Ciprastal holding 60% and 40% of share respectively. They acquired the enterprise in March 2017 and are optimistic about the success of this project. The EU notified the USA and Chinese governments, as well as the WTO dispute settlement body, about the desire to join the procedure for settling the dispute on fees initiated by China at the consultation stage. The EU noted that the USA refusal to extend the exemption from the duties for European countries could seriously affect the export flows from the EU, as countries are close trade partners. The EU countries took the first place in the export of steel and the fifth place in the export of aluminium in 2017, with a total export of about $6 billion. It is worth noting that the UE has already applied for direct consultations with the USA on this issue, but the White House rejected it. The term of temporary exemption from import duties for EU countries expires on May 1st. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel paid a visit to Washington to discuss this issue. In the countries of the Persian Gulf, a decision was made to impose import duties on polymeric-coated coils. The investigation of this case started in 2016 and was mainly aimed at limiting the import of this product. The established trade restriction is quite strict and will significantly reduce the volume of supplies of material from abroad, providing support to local production. The Bureau of the Technical Secretariat for the Prevention of Damage in International Trade decided to introduce final protective measures for the import of coated rolled products. The restriction will enter into force for a period of 3 years from May 15, 2018 and will gradually decline. For the first year was determined a rate of $169 per ton, for the second and third $153 per ton and $137 per ton. The solution extends to flat rolling with a width of 600 mm, with polymer and some other types of special coating. The announced trade restriction is seen as a tool to remove from the supply market from China. In 2016, the volume of imports to Saudi Arabia and the UAE amounted to 185,000 tons and 58,000 tons, and in 2017, 105,000 tons and 119,000 tons respectively. As a result, China has captured more than 50% of the market. You are watching Metal News review for the week. Indicative prices for the reporting week look like this. You have watched the weekly review of Metal News. Your subscription to the channel and clicking on the bell will allow you to be aware of the main events of the total metal market every week.